Oh, by the grace of God, we are okay.
We were hoping we would have you in the studio to have this conversation, but whichever way, Salam, a statement has been released by the National Youth Wing of the NPP, of which you head as the National Youth Organizer. Now, this statement that has come out, of course, has caught some flack based on some of the statements that have been made. Why did you think there was a need to release these statements at this time?
Thank you, Berla. Good morning to you and your viewers. We are the Young People's Department of the NPP as an establishment, and therefore we are interested in anything that concerns young people. So if we see an activity that involves young people, we will monitor things, which we did. I followed events leading to the demonstration, the back and forth with the police that you were putting to your other guests. So I followed Thursday, second, and the third day. I think by and large they completed the 3-day protest peacefully. We are happy to note, even though the first day came with a bit of an issue that we have roundly condemned, and we hope that some of these things don't return, and our police service, takes a cue. We are also happy that in 2015, when we were attacked on the streets of Adabaka, we can see semblance of things happening again in 2023. This is so many years interval that we thought that the police will refine its skills. Be it as it may, we all roundly condemn it, and we're happy that our colleagues, young people, were able to come out and protest and drum home their points.
All right. But in going ahead to condemn what the police did, you seem to also water down the reasons why the protesters hit the streets. If I look at point 3 of your statement, where again it sounded a bit personal, and I'm not sure if you were speaking for yourself or on behalf of the young people within the party. You said, I tried so hard in the 3 days of the protest to take home the most salient reason and demand for the protest, but nothing concrete except for the usual rhetoric of fix the road, motorway, cost of living, and other tangentials which borders on politics. Would you say that on hindsight, this was a tad bit disrespectful and a way to water down the reasons why young people decided to hit the street? Because these are problems that we've been facing for years on end.
No, not at all. I don't have any personal issue with any of the demonstrators. In fact, I don't know any of them personally, let alone have an issue that is personal in nature. We are all having a discussion. They have their opinions as well, and we also have ours, which is in line with our democratic tenets and rights, that everybody is guaranteed their opinion. And that's our opinion as well. Like I mentioned, I followed keenly because when it comes to demonstrations, I'm quite an aficionado because I have been involved in demonstrations. I've been part of demonstrations. The last one we went was Let My Vote Count. I was the pioneering member of Let My Vote Count Alliance. So when it comes to demonstrations, I understand it quite well. I have mentioned to follow my belief.
Okay. But when you describe it as the usual rhetoric,
usually
and it's nothing concrete, what do you mean exactly by that?
Headliner for demonstrations, the salient reason, if my friends and brothers wanted to demonstrate on economic issues, the economic conditions in the country, well, that would have been the discussion for all of us to interrogate, to see how are we doing as far as economic issues are concerned in the country. But immediately you start your preparation for a demonstration, and it is Julobi house demonstration, insulting everybody. Then you create.
Sorry, who were they insulting?
Of the kind
Mustapha.
of demonstration that you are going to have. And
Mustafa, can you hear me?
We followed to find the reasons, the bow for the, for the reasons that would pop up. So many tangential, matters.
Mustafa.
I am the first to admit to economic issues anytime it's raised. It is the topical conversations we have.
Salam Mustapha, listen, okay. Yeah. So if you listen to some of the campaign messages from the president and the vice president, these were some of the issues that they raised in wanting Ghanaians to vote for them to come into power. And so if after 7 years, these issues have not been addressed, like your party had said they would address, and young people hit the street, you decide to say that this is nothing concrete and that it's, the rhetoric as usual. Don't you find that disrespectful to the young people who voted for your president and vice president to come into power? Reason why you probably also occupied the position that you had occupied even before within the party you began your job as the National Youth Organizer?
Berla, I don't know where you're coming from with the word disrespect, because there's no disrespect as far as opinions are concerned. If
Salam.
we express our opinions,
Salam
we can't
Mustapha.
call that disrespect.
Salam Mustapha.
Yes,
I'd like to ask you a direct question. Still on your point number 3.
So
Salam.
It's our opinion as well.
Salam.
It's our opinion.
Yes, we appreciate your opinion, but I want to ask you a question about your point number 3, because you itemize things which you consider our usual rhetoric. You mentioned 1, the motorway; 2, fix the road; 3, cost of living, and other tangentials. Salam, do you use the motorway?
Well, of course I do.
What is the state of the motorway in your opinion?
And let me also tell you that if you follow,
just please answer my question. What is the state of the motorway in your opinion?
You ask a question and I'm answering. So you listen to me. If you use the motorway today, you will see that work is ongoing, especially from the interchange being done from the Spintex to East Legon to the motorway. So if you followed what we did in 2019 when the second phase was commissioned, we said that we're starting the third phase, which includes the interchange.
Okay, let me tell you, I was on the motorway yesterday. Yesterday, and I noticed there's work around the Accra Mall end of the motorway. Before the toll booth, the actual motorway, which has been the cause of countless accidents over the, I don't know how many years. I was afraid for my life while I drove on the motorway yesterday. The potholes are endless. There's been a constant call by young people, in fact, all Ghanaians, asking for the motorway to be fixed. I do not think, Salam, I do not think, Salam, I do not think, Salam, that if people are out on the streets calling for these things to be fixed, that it is okay for you to write a very long letter calling these things rhetorics bordered on political lines. I do not think, that,
and that one,
just as you have agreed that the motorway is bad, you should throw it off as a rhetoric. I also do not think that the many things that who feels it knows it, perhaps because of your position or because of the experiences you have in your little world, you probably do not experience the things that the people out on the streets experience. And because it is their fundamental human right to the freedom of expression, that means that they can say what they feel in a peaceful protest. I do not think that it is all right for you, for the lack of the same challenges that they experience. You don't experience it. I don't think it's okay for you to come out to call them rhetorics bordered on political lines. I think the least you could have done was to go ahead, to mention the achievements of the party like you did, which is fair. But to downplay, to water down, or to call irrelevant the things that the people are complaining about is a tad bit unfair. And so when Berla asked you earlier whether in hindsight you would like to reconsider your position, especially in point number 3, I honestly expected you to come again. But for you to consistently say that after 3 days of the protest, you are unable to take home the most salient reason and demand for the protest and consider them as nothing concrete, I beg you to come again. Have you been to Kolebu in recent times? Do you not understand the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian?
But have you called for a discussion or a monologue?
Oh, come on.
With who?
Come on, man. What you doing, bro?
Because it's just a monologue.
What is a monologue? What is a discussion? A protest is a form of expression.
Because
a protest is a form of communication.
Let me answer the question. Okay.
Yes, go on, Salam.
Yes, you allowed your opinion. People have expressed their opinions. I also have my opinion. So we can disagree on opinions, but don't foist your opinion on mine. I'm also a young person living in this country, and I took my time to explain that when we say the usual rhetoric, I've done the politics of this country in the last 20 years or so. We have discussed the same issues. And I'm saying, if in 2015 we went out to demonstrate, it was in a specific demand that a new voters register is prepared in response to the court case that we filed in 2013, challenging the results in 2020. And the EC coming to prove to the world that the voters register was flawed. So in calling for a credible election, we said that let's compile a new voters register. And that was the issue we took out to demonstrate. Of course, alongside there were tangential economic issues were raised in the Let My Vote Count demonstration that we did. So when it comes to demonstrations, I mentioned already, I am an aficionado when it comes to demonstrations. I've been part of demonstrations. I've been part of organizers of demonstrations, so I understand it inside out. It is not to water down, what has been done. I am saying that our opinion too was that we were expecting that there's a rallying point for all of us to agree that indeed this is not being done, so it should be done. But everything else that has been raised are things that are in continuum, and I took my time to take some sectors to explain the things that have been done. When it comes to economic issues, I admit that bread and butter issues take the foremost, discussion. Of course, when people are hungry and you're telling them you have built schools and roads and so on and so forth, they might not be easily amenable.
All right, Salam.
Of course, it is part of the discussion.
All right, thank you so much, Salam.
I also have trust and confidence. Please, let me make my point.
We don't have time, Salam.
Let me make this point. Please, let me make this point, please.
You are saying you have trust and confidence. We don't have trust and confidence. Based on the response you're giving us, clearly you don't identify with young people and the problems that they are encountering. Because otherwise, as a youth organizer, you'd understand that young people need jobs. Salam, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we cannot continue with this conversation. But if young people need jobs and they are asking you to just make do of the promises that you made to them, and you're here saying that those were not really concrete reasons why they hit the streets, then I'm sorry, but you've lost the plot completely. And I do hope that you find a way back on track to help young people, because this is totally unfair.